from an early age, it was evident to all who knew him that Kenneth McDuff was going to end up on the wrong side of the law. Born and raised in Texas, the hulking 6'4" teenager first attracted the attention of law enforcement officials while still in high school. Still, he managed to stay out of prison until 1965, when at age 19 he pulled a 4-year term for a string of burglaries. Paroled after serving less than a year, McDuff responded by committing a brutal triple murder in Tarrant County. On the night of August 6, 1966, McDuff and a buddy, Roy Dale Green, abducted 3 teenagers, Robert Brand, Mark Dunman and Edna Louise Sullivan. After robbing their terrified victims, McDuff pushed Sullivan into the back seat of their car and forced the boys into the trunk. Driving the vehicle to an isolated spot, he threw open the trunk and shot Brand and Dunman to death as they begged for their lives. Then he and Green repeatedly raped Edna Sullivan before McDuff killed the girl by forcing a broomstick down on her throat. McDuff was soon arrested for the murders and later convicted and sentenced to death. However, after the US Supreme Court declared capital punishment unconstitutional in 1972, his sentence was reduced to life imprisonment. Parole was not excluded and McDuff became eligible in 1976, although subsequent parole boards wisely turned him down. Desperate, McDuff tried bribing a parole official in 1982 and saw 2 years added to his sentence. McDuff remained in prison, but behind the scenes things were working in his favour. As the inmate population in Texas soared and overcrowding became a serious problem, state officials tried to address the issue by paroling tens of thousands of inmates, many of them before they'd even served a single day inside. Eventually, even a dangerous cold-blooded killer like Kenneth McDuff, with 16 felony convictions, 12 burglaries and 3 murders to his name, warranted consideration. In October 1989, the unthinkable happened and McDuff was unleashed on an unwary public. McDuff didn't stay out of trouble for long. By July 1990, he was back in prison after making a terrorist threat. Although this was reason enough to revoke his parole, prison officials again erred on the side of leniency and McDuff walked free on December 6, 1990. Over the next 17 months, he unleashed a one-man crime wave on Central Texas, a spree that is believed to have included as many as 9 homicides. McDuff would eventually be tried for 2 murders. On December 30th, 1991, he abducted 28-year-old accountant Colleen Reed from an Austin car wash, raped, brutalised and finally killed her. Then on March 1st, 1992, he kidnapped, raped and killed Melissa Northrup, a pregnant 22-year-old Waco convenience store clerk. In the wake of the Northrup murder, McDuff became the subject of a massive manhunt. He escaped to Kansas City, Missouri, where he found work as a garbage collector. He was finally arrested on May 4th, 1992, after he was featured on the TV show America's Most Wanted. By now, the death penalty had been reinstated in Texas, as in many other states, and there would be no escape for the brutal killer. Sentenced to death for the Reed and Northrup murders, he was executed by lethal injection on November 17, 1998. His final words, spoken to Warden Jim Willett, were, "I'm ready to be released. Release me." The McDuff case triggered a massive overhaul of the Texas prison system. Parole rules were tightened and systems for monitoring potentially violent parolees were significantly strengthened. In addition, extensive prison building projects were commissioned. These measures became known collectively as the McDuff Laws.